We're back in Denver at Mile High Stadium. The last year at Mile High, the new stadium is just 100 yards away, maybe. It's 13-13. Pat Summerall here with John Madden. And John, there's the new stadium being built. They're trying to capture the same kind of presence as they had for years here at Mile High, from the sounds, the fans' enthusiasm. John, your opinion of the first half? Both offenses have looked good.
Well, I think that's the thing. You say, how did Denver look? Brian Griese looked real good. Terrell Davis, I think, passed the test. He still has a way to go. Their offensive line did well. Green Bay not playing with Brett Favre. Matt Hasselbeck steps in, looks good. Antonio Freeman. But then you look at the defenses. Neither defense played well in the first half.
Chris Cole returns the kickoff. And Chris Cole can't fly. He had the fastest time of anybody back in Indianapolis.
And he hasn't been real impressive so far in this camp. We're going to see Gus Frerotte come in now for the second half. Remember Gus Frerotte from the Washington Redskins last year with the Detroit Lions. Signed a one-year contract with the Denver Broncos and said this week that the job here, the quarterback job here, is Brian Griese. There's no quarterback. So he kind of put up the white flag and said, it's all over. I'm the backup and Brian Griese's the starter. Announced by Gus Frerotte.
Frerotte to Travis McGriff, who also has had an outstanding camp. Not very big, but a lot of heart from Florida.
Yeah, we were talking about the offense is looking good, but look at Green Bay's defense. 32 plays. They allowed 222 yards in the first half. Yards per play, 6.9. Yards rushing, 4.1. And 13 first downs. That's just one half of play. Now, that is not acceptable defense, especially when you think about the division they're in.
2nd and 1. Melandis Gary breaks it to the outside. Lowered his shoulder, but I don't think he made it far enough for the first. Todd McBride made the hit that knocked him back.
Antoine Edwards is number 24. And he was coming in, he got in the backfield, and I'll tell you, someone just knocked him sideways as they ran right by him. This has to be something. Watch number 24. Here he is. How about that? Watch. He's going to come in a blitz and whap. He gets knocked, spun around, and the ball carrier goes by. He said, where'd that go? What happened? Who hit me?
He didn't see where it came from. First down by Gary. He gets the carry again. Let's again quickly go down to D.J. Johnson.
I talked to Broncos offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak, who's up in the press box for the first time. He says he likes the view up there. He used to be down here on field level. He says up there you can see much better. Now, his biggest concern was just to make sure his quarterback's okay without him while he's up there. Now, he used to have the DJ view down here. Now he has the Pat and John view from up top. Back to you, Pat.
All right, DJ, what do you think of that? Would you rather be down on the sideline or not?
I think, well, I'd rather be on the sideline. I mean, I've been there all my life when I coached, and I never did coach from the booth, and I'd never want to because I want to be able to talk to and see the players.
There's Frerotte to McGriff. McGriff's only 5'8", but when you get that open, it doesn't make any difference.
You know, he weighs 185 pounds. Last year, he weighed under 160. He had mononucleosis, and he came to camp that way, and he really struggled. And this year, he's healthy, he's back, and I remember just watching him practice, he looked a lot like Wayne Krebet.
Yep.
I mean, I think he was wearing a baseball cap the way Wayne Krebet of the Jets does, and he was running like Wayne Krebet, and and in fact, I told Mike Tanner, I said, this guy reminds me of Wayne Krebet. And he said, yeah, I wish he were.
That's Andre Reed in motion, and Frerotte looks left. Thrown intended for his tight end, Byron Chamberlain.
I think it's important, how Andre Reed does, whether he makes his team or not. I think, Robert Brooks is out there. And remember, Robert Brooks retired with the Packers with injuries, and now he feels pretty good. He went to a number of teams for tryouts, including the Denver Broncos. And I think that he's going to sign. I would expect that the Broncos, either tonight or tomorrow, will sign Robert Brooks.
I think a lot of people think he's coming here.
Right, he's coming here with the Denver Broncos. So then he'll be thrown in with Andre Reed and the rest of those guys for that fourth, and fifth positions because McGriff is the third wide receiver.
Here's Gus Farrat across the middle, complete. That's Chris Cole.
Gus Farrat loves that bootleg.
Yeah, he always has.
After last week,
Always
he ran
has.
that thing. I mean, like his first 3 or 4 passes at Denver Bronco were bootleg. Now, the bootleg is where the back goes one way, the back goes to the left, you fake to him, then you come out right, and usually have a crossing pattern in behind. You want to affect that defense, get him to step up for the run, and then get your crossing receiver in behind him.
Quick count. Alinda Gary to the 18. Stopped by Gary Berry.
You know, every time a new defensive coach comes in this league, it seems like they always say they're going to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what were you the year before, the year before that, the year before that? But this thing is the Packers are playing a one-gap defense, and it's, you know, relies on speed, guys hitting that one gap, penetration, blitzing, stunts, all those things, and these guys really aren't getting off the line of scrimmage.
It's the Denver defense.
See, you have to control that.
Right. Andre Cooper makes the reception.
Let's look at that umpire cam. Now we got a camera in the hat of the umpire. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, the umpire. Now watch the center, how he pass protects. He's going to put his hand out to the left and the right to hold both of those gaps. Then when the tackles go to the outside, he's okay. You see, and then the umpire, after he watches that, then he turns to see if there's a trap. See the camera right there, right there, right there, right there. Stop moving, right there on the umpire's hat.
You worked on your drawing in the offseason.
Yeah, I used to do that in penmanship.
13-13. But the Broncos closing in. We're back at a very, very warm, mile-high stadium. Where down on the field earlier it was 110 degrees. And that'll take its toll, as John Madden said earlier, here in the third quarter and the fourth quarter.
And that's when you're happy. Both of these teams have over 80 players, and that's when you're happy there's the second preseason game and you have over 80 players, because no one is playing any more than a half that I know of.
Gus Farrat. Either he threw it to a spot and threw it high, or just threw it away.
No, he had his back out there. I think they tried to get a mismatch and hoping that no one would go with him. The Packers brought someone out there later, and then Gus Farrat saw that it wasn't just a free shot, so he just threw that one away. And that's a smart thing to do, that a veteran quarterback knows it's only first down. You're taking that shot. Don't do anything stupid, because you still have 3 more down.
2nd and 10. Farrat almost taken down from behind. Not quite. Steve Warren almost got him.
Steve Warren's a guy that they like. He's a rookie from Nebraska, and you know he does have that. Now this defense has to get penetration, and you see Warren got the penetration there, and that's what it relies on. Now when you get that penetration, when you hit that gap the way Warren does, then these things happen. When you stand there and catch or don't get in or to your gap, then you get whipped the way they've been getting whipped all day today.
3rd and 10. Incomplete. No flag. Andre Cooper would like to see one, but it's not coming. So we'll see Jason Elam again. He and his holder, Tom Ruin, the punter, they spend a lot of time together. They have a lot of free time when the rest of the team is practicing. They were doing some pretty fancy things in workout the other day.
Oh, they had one. They ran an option play, and Ruin just threw it over his shoulder.
Without looking.
Without looking, and that's when you know the Packers have way too much free time.
From 29 yards out, the Broncos take a 3-point lead. 10-11. Back deep for Green Bay is Mitchell. Takes it at the goal line.
Oh,
He is at the 20, and I mean hammered.
Basil Mitchell, for some reason, didn't see that coming. I mean, it came from his right side or the left. I think he was looking either straight ahead or to the left, but, boy, you have to feel those things.
Kenoy Kennedy.
I mean, watch that. How can you not see that? And if you do see it, you should never be standing up and take a hit like that. You have to assume that standing so straight up in that waiting position that he didn't see it.
You got to lower something.
Yeah, because that was a terrible position if you did see it.
Here is Danny Werfel, the Packer quarterback. Flag on the play. Danny Werfel, frustrating years at New Orleans, had an outstanding year in Europe just this past season. Now fighting for a job with the Packers.
Well, he was the quarterback of the championship team over there, the Rhein Fire.
They were talking about, the Packer coaches were saying,
there is no pass interference on the play. The ball is ruled uncatchable.
Uncatchable.
Yeah, that's about the second or third one that the officials called and then took back. Ooh, I don't agree with that. I mean, you know, I mean, the guy, that should either be interference or not be interference, but if it's interference and the guy gets hit, how do you know that he wouldn't have caught it? That ball wasn't uncatchable.
It was catchable.
Yeah.
Here's Danny Werfel back to throw again. Gets it to Bubba Franks, the tight end. He's a guy who's got to be ready to play right now. The Packers like the two tight ends set up on offense. Bubba Franks has got to be one of those two tight ends, and he's got to be ready.
And that's what Brett Favre says. Brett Favre loves two tight ends. So he said Bubba Franks has no time to be a rookie. He has to come in and be a veteran right now. But you notice the difference in velocity. That's probably what Franks did there is Brett Favre has great velocity. Matt Hasselbeck has good velocity. Danny Werfel has almost no velocity.
That's the missing element. Mitchell gets the carry on the screen pass from Werfel, and they stop shy of the first down. And so the Packers, for the first time, will have to punt.
Monte Reagor is a second-year guy that the Denver Broncos really like, and he made a heck of an effort down there. You know, he's a defensive tackle, and he come running down the line of scrimmage and ran that thing down from behind.
He's from Texas Tech. He was a defensive end. They moved him inside, and he seems to play a lot better inside. Josh Bidwell back to punt.
Now here is an interesting and great story. Josh Bidwell.
Not a very good punt to go along with a great story. Bounces out of bounds, and the Broncos will take over in pretty good shape.
Ron Wolf was saying before the game how well he's been doing in training camp. After battling cancer and coming back from cancer, he's having a great training camp.
A little NASCAR coming up on Fox.
I can't wait for that. Now, those guys are athletes. I mean, when you can get in there and control something that's going that fast with that many people that close to you, you have to be someone special.
Well, you drove one of those cars, didn't you?
Yeah, but I couldn't even keep it up in the bank. I was going so slow we kept sliding down the bank.
Barat throws to Andre Reed. Let's again go down to D.J. Johnson.
I'll tell you what, when do you think of Denver and heat? Well, when you come from Green Bay, and the whole training camp has been not over 90 degrees. Here on the field in Denver, the thermometer is approaching 120, and I tell you what, it feels every bit of 120 down here. When I first stepped on the field, I didn't think it felt too bad, but as the game went on, I'm sweating, I'm losing my fluids, and, you know, at halftime, none of the Green Bay players did much about replenishing their fluids. They took water, no IVs administered, and I tell you what, maybe they should have.
We got to get some fluids down.
Just stand where you are. I'll throw some water on you. The first thing I do is take that jacket and tie off.
That's a good idea.
If it's 120.
Yeah, just put on the towel.
120, you don't have to sit there in a jacket and a tie. Take it off, man, and just stand there. I'll throw the fluids at you.
At least
there
have a light-colored jacket.
Take it off. There you go. Now you're talking. 120. He's out there in the dark sun.
Thanks, guys.
We sympathize.
Now you're looking
an air conditioner, please.
Yeah. Now we're talking.
3rd and 2. Andre Reed. Barat threw a little early.
You can just feel.
Or Reed cut a little late.
You know, as you start to make changes, you can just feel, you know, how sharp Brian Greasy was, and then how it just kind of starts to fall. Not only all on Gus Frerotte. I mean, he's just a quarterback, but when all the backups go in there, they just don't have that sharpness, or close to that sharpness that first group had.
Antoine Edwards back deep. That's Tom Ruin to punt. Another high hanging punt by Ruin. Takes a good bounce. They might have saved it. Broncos down to down it. And they'll say it's at the 5 by Chris Cole.
That was a heck of a play by Chris Cole. One, getting there, and then two, getting that ball out of the end zone before you touch anything. Now he can get there. Now he has to make that play before anything touches. And you see he did it by throwing the ball back when he was still in the air.
Outstanding play by Chris Cole. 16-13. Downtown Denver doesn't look as hot as it is.
Watch Chris Cole here, Pat. He makes a great play, but watch his right foot right there.
Yep.
His foot was on the line when the ball was in the end zone. So I think the Packers are going to challenge this. Yeah, they should. See, they can, you know, the instant replay, they have the challenge. Anything that has to do with boundary lines. Of course, this does. You can clearly see that his foot is on the line. So what's going to happen is that call will be reversed, and the ball will come out to the 20-yard line.
You sure it's going to be reversed?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, you can see because they're going to go in, and the referee is going to stick his head in that thing, and then he's going to see the foot. See, he's going to hear now. He's going to talk to upstairs, and he's going to hear what they're talking about, and you're going to see the foot in the line. They'll tell him that. Then he'll stick his head in there, and he'll see it.
I wonder how hot it is in there. He goes stick his head in there. He may not come back.
I was there earlier. It's 138 in there. Once he stick, yeah, he has to find where it is.
Don't stay long.
Well, that's why he's not sticking his head in there. Remember how they used to do it?
Yeah.
See, now he just stays out because it's 138 in there. But see, this is what he has to be looking at. And if they just take it and just look right there, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, that's the one. The foot's there. The ball's still here. So it has to be.
What makes it a little tougher is he's wearing white shoes, or he's got them taped.
Yeah, but now he's looking at the same replay as we are. I mean, he's looking at the same thing. So they're going to have to give the ball to the Packers on the 20-yard line.
Chris Cole, by the way, the guy who made that play, is the culprit, is why the Broncos training camp is not over up in Greeley, Colorado, about an hour and a half from here. He was late to a meeting, and that Mike Shanahan said otherwise you can go home last Friday. But now, because you can't all make it to the meeting on time, everybody comes back. I bet you he doesn't oversleep again. Greeley's a nice facility, don't get me wrong.
After reviewing the play, the Denver's player's right foot was on the goal line, therefore making it a touchback. 1st and 10 on the 20 for Green Bay. Green Bay is not charged a timeout.
14-yard challenge.
See, now that's the thing. If they challenge, and if the challenge were denied, then that would cost the Packers a timeout. Because they win the challenge, and they have 2 per half. Because they win the challenge, then there's no charge timeout.
2 challenges.
2 challenges.
3 timeouts. 1st and 10 at the 20 instead of 1st and 10 at the 6. And Werfel gives to Mitchell.
You know, every time I think of Danny Werfel, I think of when he was playing for the New Orleans Saints, and he got hit, and his helmet got spun around, and you know, and he's been in the league, and we've seen him so many times, and every time I hear the name Danny Werfel, or I see it, well, there it is, right here.
It is.
But watch this. I have no idea how this happened. But then he's going to get hit, and the front of his helmet's in the back, and the back of his front is in the front.
Well, the next chapter of that story coming up after this next play. Mitchell again. Very little.
Well, we saw Hasselbeck get hurt in that first half. But watch this, how Werfel ends up. He puts his head down, and then he gets spun around. Now, look at this. He can't find where his head and stuff is. Now, the face mask is in the back, and the front is in the front's in the back, the back's in the front, and he doesn't know where his stuff is. But how that, I have never in all my life seen that happen.
The only thing you see is teeth. Everything else got to be dark for him.
But I mean, how can you have your helmet get totally spun around and still stay in your head?
People trying to take your head off. Mitchell, and there was a heck of a hit.
You know, and then the other part of that is no one had ever seen that before. Now watch when his teammates try and help him by spinning the helmet off.
And it hurts the nose a little bit, I think.
Oh, yeah, and then you just want to check that when the front went to the back that it didn't take any of your front stuff with it.
And he's wondering what's going on.
I don't know that
Looking for
shot.
parts.
I don't know that shot will ever leave Danny Werfel.
Josh Bidwell back to kick for Green Bay. Again, an interesting story. Heartwarming story, John. Better kick. Chris Watson back deep. Not much on the return. 16-13. Denver leading the Green Bay Packers. Here's Danny Werfel. We're in the third quarter. Josh Bidwell.
Yeah, we were talking about him, and it happened a year ago. It was after the third preseason game. In a self-examination, he found a lump, went to the doctor, and was diagnosed with testicular cancer. So he went home, and he had surgery on it right away. And then, you know, it took him the whole year of rehab. In fact, he went to Portland, Oregon.
Right.
And it was the same place that Lance Armstrong had his surgery. And he and Lance Armstrong have become close, and they've both come back from testicular cancer, and it's been a real fight. And Josh Bidwell's case, he didn't have insurance. Because it was the third preseason game, he wasn't under the NFL insurance because that doesn't start until the regular season. So his teammates, the Green Bay Packers, last year raised $70,000 to help Josh Bidwell.
Scott Hamilton, another high-performance athlete, also had the same condition, and he came back. Lance Armstrong just won the Tour de France.
And then you have Josh Bidwell, who's back, and as I say, you know, playing and punting very well for the Packers, and it looks like he's going to be their punter.
Yeah, looks like it.
Talking to Ron Wolf before the game, and I asked him, you know, how it looked. He said, well, it looks like he's going to be the guy. So that's a great story.
Blitz coming from Green Bay. And Gus Frerotte. Could be somebody open with that much time, and it's Travis McGriff again.
I'll tell you, you want to see a block, though. Detron Smith is the fullback. He's number 42. You watch that hit when you see a blitz coming, and if you're a fullback, you have to be able to pick it up. Now, picking it up is stepping up like that. Of course, there's two guys see him, so you try and sneak in there, and you're the blitzer, and you don't want this to happen to you. But they not only took him down, but they opened up that passing lane. They knocked him right out of the passing lane.
Rock to Gary again.
Just about any time you get that much yardage, you're second and about 2 or 3 or whatever it is, and you hand it to Alandis Gary, I mean, he's going to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just going to fall and scratch and drive and for that many yards. I'll tell you, if Terrell Davis comes back, you know, to anywhere like he was, and then Alandis Gary is anything like he was a year ago, these guys are going to be a great 1-2 punch. They may even play together sometime.
Packers defensive line jumps. You wonder who's going to be the blocker if they do play together, but they both were blockers in college. They were at Georgia.
And Terrell Davis isn't going to be blocked. I mean, Terrell Davis is a good blocker, but when you have a talent like that, you're not going to ask him to block.
Assuming he's back to what he was.
And I would
think first down.
There's that guy still here. Where's the barrel? Now, here's the guy. This is a good day for the barrel. See, DJ Johnson on one side, he's wearing a dark suit and tie and everything. The old barrel guy. Now he has a mate. He doesn't need the fluid like DJ needs fluid. this guy, if that's all you wear is a barrel, and he has nothing on under that, I know that.
He looks like he's well stocked with fluid.
That's why he got that way. 80% of it's fluid.
Gary twists for a first down.
Gus Farad had his whole family out this past week. He invited his dad and his brothers, and they all came out here at his expense and stayed at Greeley. And after a day or two, he wasn't sure it was a good idea. He said all his dad does is complain.
Well, I took a picture with him, with his dad.
Was he happy to see you?
No, he complained.
What about the heat? Well, his dad, remember his dad, like 3 years ago, had a heart transplant.
Yeah, yeah. Pass caught by Landis Gary.
That's going to be a 15-yard.
Gary Berry.
Yeah, that's a stupid one.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was one of those passes for like none yards, and to come up and jump on a guy after he's down, that's just stupid.
21 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
The thing is, you know, I mean, there's a way you want to be aggressive, you want to be tough, and you want to do things, but you don't do that. And he knew it. I mean Gary knew it. Yeah, I mean, he knew, you know, Barry knew exactly when he did it that he was wrong, and he put up his hand like he didn't mean it.
That moves Denver down to the Green Bay 30.
I mean, that's part of discipline, too.
Mike Anderson gets the carry.
You know, we were talking earlier about that umpire camera that we just showed there. Next week in the game we're doing, Matt Millen, you know, is going to be the umpire. And that umpire also has a mic on him. So Matt Millen is going to be down there, and he's going to have a camera on his hat, and he's going to have a mic, and then he's going to be the umpire in at least the third quarter of the game. So we'll be able to watch and talk to Matt Millen on the field.
Mike Anderson's an interesting story, too. 27-year-old rookie. Went to Utah. Didn't play football for a long time till he grew.
Well, he didn't play in high school. As a matter of fact, in high school, he was in the band. Well, Matt's getting a good sweat.
Yeah, Matt's got fluids.
No, he needs some fluids. In fact,
he just put on that shirt.
I know it, but he's leaking fluids, so you got to fill him up with fluids. We got to send some of those we sent down to GJ to Matt.
Landis Gary is back. McGriff.
You know, Travis McGriff played at Florida, and his dad had coached. Here's McGriff right here, Travis McGriff. Not a big guy, but he has very good quickness. And as a quarterback say, he's kind of hard to see, but when you can get him out there running and out, you know, then you can see him all the way. But his dad was a coach. In fact, his dad was a coach at Florida with Mike Shanahan.
With Shanahan.
They were both assistants at Florida.
McGriff's a big name in the history of Florida athletics.
In fact, some people said McGriff made the team because of his relationship with Mike Shanahan.
Landis Gary on a typical run. Straight ahead, dragging people with him.
Mike Shanahan says that's a bunch of baloney. I wouldn't waste a draft choice and a roster spot for sentimentality. Is that the word?
Yeah, that's good.
The same guy can say sentimentality that had trouble saying teeth. What did I say? Teeth?
Teeth. Like there were none.
I had like 3 or 4 THs in it.
Gary hammers it in.
See, that's Gary. I mean, that's what he could do. I mean, you can't, and this is where the Packer defense is having trouble. They've had trouble last week. They're having trouble this week. Is they're just not very stout, and they're getting a good test. First Terrell Davis, and then here comes Gary, and he'll just, you know, we talked about it earlier, just running downhill, just power. At this point, right here, there's no way he's not going to get across that white line.
That's right. Jason Elam for the extra point. I guess there might be a better kicker than Elam, but I can't think of one right now.
Well, where do you put those Andersons?
Yep, both of them.
Yeah, I like Jason Elam. I mean, probably right now, you know, if I had to take one, I would probably take Jason Elam.
Guy in Detroit's not bad.
There's a lot of good kickers around.
Yeah.
Look at that horse go. Go, Thunder, go. See, now, you know, at some point, if it's 120 degrees down there, and Matt's sweating like that, and DJ's sweating, the big old players are sweating. And
the horse got a blanket on.
I mean, but Thunder somewhere ought to be sweating or something. I mean, his tongue ought to be coming out.
Well, she changed shirts.
Yeah, but at some point, that tongue has to come out. He's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Thunder.
So is she.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch the kickoff now, because remember when we talked to the officials, I said one of the things that they're really going to watch closely, especially in preseason, is being offsides on the kickoff. Now we have the umpire, and he's right on the line with the kick. And we have the umpire cam, so we can look right down that line. No one was offside.
4 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Mitchell fields it about 8 yards deep in the end zone, doesn't try to bring it out.
That's what you love. That's why you love to kick in Mile High.
And that's the end of the third quarter with the score: the Broncos 23, the Packers 13. This Fox NFL special from Denver will continue after word from your local. Ready to start the fourth quarter at Mile High Stadium. Broncos 23, Green Bay 13. Werfel. The Bubba Franks. Seeing Werfel and watching Hasselbeck at work. Brett Favre had played in 159 consecutive games until he missed this one.
And Brett Favre's the type of guy that just doesn't miss it. And, you know, he did everything not to miss. There's old Thunder. They put him in the shade in between touchdowns.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, right in zone. Here's Werfel. It's Bubba Franks again. They're getting Bubba ready. He's got to get ready.
Well, you know, we talked about how Green Bay really hasn't played well on defense. Denver hasn't played well on defense. And if you look at what Green Bay has done to them, I mean, they've been doing everything to them, running the ball, passing the ball. If you look right here, 38 plays, 243 yards. Yards per play, 7 yards per play. Yards per rush, 7.3. I'll tell you, when Mike Shanahan was talking at halftime, that's what he was upset about.
Werfel dodges the blitz, or tried to. Couldn't get away from Ian Gold. They really like, the Broncos do, like their second-round draft choice, Ian Gold.
Yeah, Greg Robinson is the defensive coordinator. When we were talking to him, is there any surprises in camp or anyone that is doing more than you thought? And the name Ian Gold came up. And you know, he's been doing everything that they've asked. They knew that he would be good right away on special teams. And he has been very good on special teams, but he's also playing linebacker very well.
Not that big. 220, 218, something like that. Not big for a linebacker, but playing well. Werfel finds Mitchell. Little game, if any. Steve Russ made the stop.
You know, Steve Russ is one of those guys out of the Air Force, and he looks a lot like Romanowski, doesn't he? He plays the same position. You know, we talk about, you know, the weak side linebacker, and John Mobley's a weak side linebacker, and Steve Russ plays that strong side. That's kind of, the weak side kind of flows and runs and has the speed like Gold and those guys.
Yeah.
And the strong side has the strength. They're like the solid anchor of the strong side of the defense.
And Green Bay's still looking for that guy to play this defense. Werfel has time this time. Dumps it out to Mitchell. And he'll have a first down at the Denver 40.
You know, that's what happens. You know, we always talk about that zone blitz. On a zone blitz, you have to drop a lineman. Now, that lineman was Lester Archambault. Now, when you get that lineman back as a linebacker, then that's the guy you want to work on. Now, watch Archambault. He's 92. Dropping back here as a linebacker. Now he's in coverage. Now, you want Werfel sees that, and he says, I'm going to work against the guy that is being covered by a defensive tackle. Now, that's the way to beat the zone blitz. If you have time and you can find the guy that Archambault's on.
Also, Archambault is very bright, but he can't do that job. Werfel, light on his feet, fakes, gets out of bounds. About the 36. Flag on the play.
It wasn't on the tackle of Werfel. The flag came from the other side.
Mike Sherman, the Green Bay head coach, was talking about Danny Werfel and how he really got into it when they signed it.
Defense, number 92, lined up in the neutral zone. Offside, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
That was Lester Archambault, the guy that just dropped in that zone blitz coverage and was beaten. And then it's so hot down there. The big old Lester's so tired that he wanted to line up as close to where he was going as he could get.
First down. 5 yards for first. Werfel drops again. Throws deep. Pretty good throw for a guy with a weak arm.
That was a perfect throw.
Charles Lee made the catch at about the 1.
Charles Lee is a rookie who's going to make this team. He's out of Central Florida, has good speed, and Danny Werfel hits him with a perfect passer. He's in tight coverage, makes a little move to the inside, gets a little push, a little more push, and then Danny Werfel throws it in a perfect position where only Charles Lee is going to catch it, or it's going to be incomplete. Good size, 6'2", 202 pounds.
Touchdown by Goodman.
Ball!
Old Herbert Goodman.
Yep.
He's out of Graceland. His nickname is Whisper.
He hasn't talked since he's been in Green Bay.
Just came there.
Hasn't spoken to anybody, nothing.
And every day they say he's getting more and more impressive on the field, and he hasn't said a word since he's gotten there. They get a pretty good lead block. He gets a good feel.
Yep.
He sees that everything is going to come up over the top. So it's smart. He goes down and goes underneath everything.
That's a pretty good surge right there.
From Graceland College.
Who else in the NFL from Graceland?
Remember that tackle
One other
played
player.
for the Jets? Yeah, Jeff Criswell.
Jeff Criswell.
Yeah, he was from Graceland.
23-20. Denver still leads with 10:43 left.
Watch Herbert Goodman here. Now, when you see guys go up, like right here, you see that? When they go up, then you have to go under. You see him come here? They go up, he finds that hole underneath and just pushes it right through. That's pretty good vision and pretty good seeing and a pretty good instinct.
Look at that whole stack go backwards.
Yeah, that's what goal line offense and goal line defense is really all about.
Jeff Hall set to kick it off to Chris Cole.
It shows how that umpire is right in there amongst them all the way, isn't it?
Cole at the 5. Flag. Injured Packer on the play. First guy to miss is hurt. Looks like Corey Bradford.
Holding, 99, return team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Here it is right here.
Rager.
Right out in front of everything. I mean, that was a hole. That was 57. No, oh, here's the one they called.
Yeah, right.
I think the other one was worse than Rager's. Well, Rager's
Pretty bad.
Rager's a kind of a block hole. That was better than the other one.
23-20. 10.5 minutes left to play at Mile High Stadium. Pat Summerall, John Madden.
And that was Corey Bradford that they were working on. And you were right, Pat. He was the first guy down, and he went for a move on Cole and got his ankle.
McGriff again.
Gus Perrott got that one out of there pretty quickly, didn't he?
He's always had a good arm, quick arm.
He's feeling more comfortable now. You can, it just takes a while to, preseason, and you don't get as much work when you're the backup as you do when you're the starter, and you get a little rusty. You can just feel Gus Perrott starting to feel more comfortable as he plays.
That's Corey Bradford. Down in the middle of that pack of Packers, Landis Gary.
And Corey Bradford is going to be a big part of this thing, because we talked about earlier how Brett Favre likes 2 tight ends, and then the other combination that they like and they wanted to do a lot of this year is use 3 wide receivers. And of course, Corey Bradford was the 3rd wide receiver.
Well, he won't be for a while.
No, not with that. That was a bad one. And it was no contact. It was all just got his foot caught and turned, and it didn't turn.
Throughout the throw, got his first down to the fullback, Smith. Rod hurt his hand, and he hit a helmet.
If you looked at watch him when he takes the ball here, he kind of fumbles it. I don't know if the ball gets all the way up there in the snap. Watch it. You see how he kind of fumbled that thing coming out of there? Then he throws it. So if he hurt his hand, there was no one around him on the throw. It had to be on the snap. See, watch here. See, the ball was low, and then he kind of fumbled it. So I bet the ball hit him where he wasn't expecting it.
For the hard count, Gary pounds away. You think they could be showcasing Gary, or do you think they want to wait more on Davis, or what?
No, Landis Gary is going to be part of the Denver Broncos. I mean, if I had Landis Gary and Terrell Davis, there's no way I would let either of them get away. I don't care, salary cap, this, trade, that, unhappy or whatever. I wouldn't listen to them. I mean, these are 2 very good talents, and there's no way when you get very good talents that you ever let them go.
Of course, you're still not 100% sure about Smith. Davis, I'm sorry. That's Gary again.
Terrell Davis isn't going to get as many carries as we talked about earlier, and Mike Shanahan said this year what I'd like to do is to not run him 30, 35 times, but let him have fresh carries, maybe 20 to 25 fresh carries, and then let Landis Gary have another, 10 or 12 fresh carries.
Anderson.
And that combination is going to be very, very tough.
Anderson has replaced Landis Gary. Davis over on the bench. Not in street clothes, but not going to play anymore. Here's Perrott. Whatever happened to his hand didn't last very long. That's a good throw. Desmond Clark.
Yeah, what he had is he had a medium and a deep over here on his left, and he's going to have Desmond Clark is going to be the medium guy. Andre Reed is a deep guy. See, he looked like he was trying to throw to Reed deep. You see Reed at the bottom there? And then he came off it. Now watch, Reed is going to be the deep guy. Here's Andre Reed, and he's goes deep. That's who he's going to try and throw to. Then when they come off, he comes off and throws to Clark. That was a good read, but he was trying to get it deep to Andre Reed.
A lot of good touch, too. Reed this time to the 10 and inside. Jeremy Lincoln.
Andre Reed, 16th year, played 15 years in the league. He doesn't look like that. And he's the best right here when he's in the slot. And you see he makes a little move inside. Doesn't have great speed, but he has those moves that work extremely well as a slot. And Mike Shanahan says if he makes it, and if they use him, that's where they'll use him most of the time, as a slot receiver. I don't know how, he's a guy that looks in great shape. I mean, he has a great body. He's a bodybuilder type of guy, but 16 years, it's tough to hold all your stuff together.
He's not going to drop many balls either. You know that.
And he's still upset about, Buffalo.
Penalty remains first down.
I think that whole thing of, the Bills, losing Bruce Smith, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, that he thought there should be some way that they were able to keep him. Look at this all-time rank, second in
That's
reception,
amazing, isn't it?
fourth receiving yards, 6 receiving TDs, postseason. I mean, Andre Reed has been a real warrior for a long time.
First and goal. Back at the 14. Landis Gary gets the carry. Gary inside the 10, about the 8.
Gus Farad had 8 straight completions. I'm surprised that Landis Gary is still in there. I mean, I know that one thing, they had so many touches that they wanted to get Terrell Davis today, and then they were going to let Landis Gary get the bulk of the work, but I think the definition of bulk should be about right now.
He's had a lot of work.
They still have John Avery. Remember John Avery from Miami that they thought was going to be the big deal down there?
With all the speed. Farad drops. Incomplete. Let's go down to D.J. Johnson.
You see Corey Bradford hobble off earlier. The preliminary report on that is a sprained left ankle. Now, he will not return to this game, but we don't know the severity of the ankle. Back up to you, Pat.
It looked like worse than that. If it's only a sprain, I say only a sprain because they can be very serious as well.
As they always say, sometimes a sprain can be worse than a break. There's so much stuff in there, you know, down there in that ankle and your Achilles, and there's so many other things that it can be.
Straight back. Incomplete in the end zone.
Say one thing, these pass rushers are awfully tired because the pass protection is probably okay, but there is no pressure at all on Gus Farad. I mean, he stood back there and he looked to the left, all the way to the corner left, came all the way across to the middle, and finally threw it to the right. And there's no way an NFL quarterback should have that kind of time.
When Gus Farad first got here, they were saying that the thing that surprised the Denver coaching staff was his lack of mobility. I don't see that. He looks in good shape, moving very well.
But he's never been a real mobile guy.
No. Elam hits again. And Denver moves ahead by 6 with 4:51 left. This is the Green Bay sideline. Anthony Harris, who had a neck injury that cut his pads off, cut his jersey, obviously. We didn't see it happen, John. But it was a neck injury. I do know that.
And Anthony Harris was the starting left side linebacker this year for the Packers.
Oh, he got to come out, yeah. Raphael Cooper. Once you put your foot on that field, you better bring it on. (26-20) Denver. 26-20 Packer ball. They'll start down at about their own 12-yard line. Danny Werfel still the quarterback. Herbert Goodman the deep back. Fake to Goodman. Werfel wide open. Wide open.
Well, you know, we talked about the weakness of the Broncos of those corners, and if you have a weakness and then you play off like that, this is going to happen all day. It happened when Hasselbeck was a quarterback, and it's happened now when Werfel. You can't give that kind of cushion. Doesn't make any difference regular season, preseason, postseason. And then if you do give that kind of cushion, you have to be able to tackle. That's one thing I think has really gone down in this league is the tackling.
Junior Lord and Charles Lee are the wide receivers. It's Junior Lord who made that reception. Lee's to the left, Lord to the right. Werfel back to throw. Outside, incomplete. That was Lee.
That time Terrell Sutton, the corner, got a little tighter because Werfel thought this is like stealing. If I can just stand back here and throw outs like that, I'm going to do that all day.
Why is it, John, that they say a quarterback can throw the ball deep like Werfel we saw it do, but he can't throw it out? It's not nearly as far.
Yeah, because you have to use a lot more strength and velocity throwing out than you do a deep ball.
Here comes the blitz. Werfel just does get rid of it. Ian Gold was the Denver blitzer.
Yeah, I'll bet you that Ian Gold is the starting weak side linebacker for the Denver Broncos until John Mobley gets back there.
I think he has to be.
Yeah, they started Nate Wayne today, but Gold has so much quickness. You see him there. I mean, he looked like he made a move there. There's more like a wide receiver or running back than it was a move of a linebacker.
3rd and 10. 3:46 left to play. Werfel drops and has protection this time. The pass is incomplete. That's good defense. Kenny Coltrane was the intended receiver.
He got up that time. He was back, and he had quite a cushion there. Werfel saw it, but that's where he didn't have the velocity, and he left that ball in the air too long because there was a big cushion over there. They throw a hook in front of him, and then the ball just stayed in the air too long and allowed for a reaction.
Tommy Hutton has been around the NFL for quite a while. Back to kick for Green Bay. Left-footed. Packers walked away and called a timeout. Mitchell did.
That's old Herbert Goodman too. You see, he was the guy. That's where rookies get in trouble. They have a chance to make the team, and then you go out there and they're supposed to be on a special team. They don't get out there and they have to call it a timeout. And I'll tell you that, you know, if you're ever on the borderline or a bubble, as they call it, and it's things like just happened there, that can get you off a team. Well, we have Matt Millen here with us now. Matt, how was it down there in the field?
H-O-T, that's home field advantage on that side. Boy, that sun is just baking you over there.
You know, that's the old trick that you always put the visiting team over in the sun and the home team you stay in the shade. Was it really 120 to feel like 120?
It was brutal.
Coleman feels the punt. Got a good block. Dragged down from behind at about the 34-yard line by Marvin Powell. Matt, this umpire business, are you serious about that?
Look at this play. Matt, I'm going to show. Here's you right here. Now tell us what happened.
Apparently, I was doing a very fantastic job. Now, Terrell Owens is coming. I see the ball. I tried to get out of the way. You know what? My hat goes one way. I go the other way. Now, what were they concerned about, John?
Let's Mariucci right here. What do you think he's concerned
Hooch comes running over. He just kind of blows me off and goes, Terrell, you all right?
Yeah, well, you thought it was you.
Now, what you can't see there is you were doubled over, slapping your knee.
What amazes me is you were trying to get out of the way.
I don't know that you ever saw Terrell Owens, though. Did you?
Oh, I did.
Flag on the play. Olandis Gary.
Well, how did it feel being down there on the field with the officials today and watching them?
You know, the funny thing is anybody who's a fan of football, and we've had this conversation, should see the game from that vantage point because you forget.
Offside. 74.
Well, you played in that
defense.
Yeah.
5-yard penalty. Repeat, first down.
Yeah, but Pat, even from the sideline, you forget how fast guys are. Yeah. You forget the hits. You forget, you know, everybody moving all together, all the things that happen in there. It's a great way to watch a football game.
Now, next week, is there going to be somebody, is there going to be a regular umpire?
No.
Or you are the umpire.
I have had the absolute greatest time doing this thing this preseason.
Terrific.
And I bet you have a new respect for officials, too, don't you?
No question.
Olandis Gary. I'll tell you what, he's had a workout.
This guy's some player, this Olandis Gary. I really love this guy.
He is, he does a lot of good things, obviously.
Here you are, Matt, getting ready for what you're going to be doing.
Now, what you missed prior to that was I was just abusing those officials saying, if I ever see you do something like this, I'm throwing you out. Of course, I went and did it.
Because you were talking about as you back up, you can't
too
straighten
high.
up. Yeah,
right.
You get too high.
There's Scott Dawson, the umpire.
How's he doing today? You watch him?
Yeah. In fact, that's what I was doing out there today, was trying to get the mechanics and seeing everything that goes down around.
Here's the camera. This is the look that you'll be watching. You You got to keep your head straight. Always keep your head on your shoulder. There's a collision you're talking about right there.
You know, the funny thing is, one thing I noticed, John, and in fact, we've had this talk a couple times about how the game's evolving and how it's changing, but being in that position where you're behind the linebackers and watching everything in front of you, the game has really gotten higher and higher. The guys are playing high. And I remember in all the years of football, that's all you ever heard was get down behind your pads and stay low.
Yeah, bend your knees, and now
Bend
they
your
don't.
knees.
And it started, I'll tell you where it started. It started with those 300-pound offensive linemen.
I
and those big guys, and all they do is belly bump.
Right now, let's go down to D.J. Johnson.
We saw Anthony Harris being taken off on a stretcher earlier. Now, preliminary reports are he does have full movement in his body, and he's fully conscious. They are taking him to the hospital for some precautionary tests, but right now everything seems to be okay. He walked off the field on his own power, and then evidently something happened on the sideline. So they are taking him to the hospital for a precautionary test, but he does have full movement in his body, and he's fully conscious.
Thanks,
Back up to you, Pat and John.
Thanks, DJ. Second 5, Green Bay, Alandis Gary. Straight ahead.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, Matt, that Alandis Gary, after, Terrell Davis came out, Alandis Gary was going to get the bulk of the work, and I just said I think the definition of bulk is about 10 minutes ago. I'm surprised he's still in there.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't, because I think he proved himself last year. You know what 22 has, and you know what he can give you, and he's giving it to you here in this, the second week of preseason. I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, I think 120 degrees down there, and I think he's proven that he can play in this league, and I don't know that you have to really wear him out to this point.
I asked John before, now I'll ask you. You think maybe the Broncos are showcasing him for somebody and hopeful that a trade might be down the line?
If I have Alandis Gary, I'm not getting rid of him.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't find many of those guys. You keep what you got.
That's the same way I feel, that if you get good players, great players, salary cap, whatever, you have to keep them. You have to keep your special players. They have to become your nucleus, and this is special players.
I got him.
We don't have a receiver over here.
Andre Reed.
They're still not right.
No, Andre Reed had to get on the line to make he had to be eligible because he had a tackle on that side.
And he thought he was the flanker. He was a flanker on this side, but when he went over to the other side, he had to be the split end X on the line.
You know, the one thing about Andre Reed, he is one big sucker.
Yeah.
For those of you on the East Coast expecting to see Futurama, it'll be seen following football, except on the West Coast, where it'll be seen at its regular time. The rest of the lineup on Fox tonight, including Malcolm in the middle.
The thing is, Matt, you were down there in the field and saw all this, and I was feeling that today we had pretty good offensive play by both teams, but bad defensive play. I mean, I don't think either one of these teams can be satisfied with their defense.
No, and you could hear that commentary on the sideline. That's the first thing that was coming out of the coach's mouth. I mean, down here, Greg Robinson was saying, we're not ready to play. I mean, that was back in the second quarter. He was already pronouncing that thing.
Well, and you could see that they're not ready to play, and the Packers are the same way. I mean, they're on that last drive. I mean, Gus Frerotte was going down there, and they couldn't even get off the line on a pass rush.
False start. 88 offense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
The other thing that surprised me in all this, John, is how much communication there is that goes on with those 7 officials.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, there's hand signals. They speak in a different language completely. I mean, they start saying, we got a POP on the OPI and the DV, and I'm looking over.
You got all that down?
What the heck are they talking about?
One thing that you were talking about, how the referee, on his right hand has that thing that he put, and I see you have one on your hand. But first down, you got it in the wrong finger.
You're right.
And he changes fingers, first, second, and third. You're working on that yourself.
Alandis Gary gets another carry.
Now, all the officials have them. The guys in the sideline and the referee, he'll put them for first, second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
See on his right hand there.
Yeah, right here.
Right there, yeah. Now the umpire, he will do his based on the field, the ball position on the field. To go left hash, middle.
You officials are amazing.
We got it down, Pat.
You guys are the greatest.
2 minutes
I love
left.
you. Always have loved
That's
you.
the first.
26-20, 2 minutes left. It's 2nd and 15.
Matt, you're an old defensive guy. Look at this. Green Bay's defense, 6.6 a play, 4.3 a rush, 29 first downs. And how about Denver? 7.5 a play, 6.9 per rush their defense gave up, and 18 first downs. So they can be happy on offense, not on defense.
What are you looking for? Average per play, say on rushing play, or average per play?
Well, you know, I always wanted it, you know, as a defensive guy, I always wanted average per run, like, you know, 3.1, 3.2, something like
about
that.
Half that.
Never 4 or over. And then average per play, you have to think that, you know, that they have to average under 4 points, because 10 yards in 3 plays is a first down.
Here is Olandis Gary. That's his 21st carry of the day.
There's a couple guys, though, that you can see they're going to be players. One of them, when I was watching, just that I noticed, is that Bubba Franks is a big target, but he plays way too high.
Yeah, he does, and not quick enough. Look at where they ran today, and this is where they had the problem. This is where they had the problem last week, and this is where I think they're going to have the problem in the middle. See, they ran in there 14 times, the Broncos did against the Packers, for 60 yards. So I think they had problem there last week with the Jets, and they had problems there today.
Gary.
You know, you're talking about
fourth down.
Bubba Franks. I know, talking to Brett Favre yesterday, he was saying that he doesn't have time to be a rookie. He has to be a veteran, and he has to learn to play faster. He has to, that this game is faster, and each game that you play is going to be faster, and he has to learn to play it that way.
Well, you know, and I think a great point to follow that up is, you know, I've been to 6 different training camps, you know, pretend officiating, and the difference between those training camps and those scrimmages that I did and the game is like night and day. And this isn't even a regular season. And it's going to go up a whole nother notch in terms of the speed and pace of the game.
I think next week, the 3rd preseason game will be the fastest of the preseason games. And then, as you say, then the first regular season game is even going to be another pace.
That's really the game where we say, let's see what we got. That 3rd game.
Next week.
Today's game being produced by Bob Sinner, directed by Sandy Grossman. The associate director is Mike Roy. Broadcast associates are Charles McDonald and Wayne Wilson. Technical producer Bob Muller. Pre-game show was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Senior producers Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin, who was on hand, and David Hill.
Always nice to have someone on hand.
Yeah.
And, of course, Matt Millen here
on hand.
in the booth with us, on hand. DJ Johnson.
On hand.
On hand in the sideline.
In a black suit.
Did you take a lot of fluids down there?
Oh, yeah. I took as many as I could get.
Yeah.
I was stealing from the Packer sideline.
Well, I saw you stole that shirt from someone,
I tried to steal one from you, but you cleared your spot out.
That's what I said. Anytime you get a chance to pick up one, it's yours.
Bruins high kick. Handled by Edwards. Inside the 10. Tom Ruin. For those of you on the East Coast expecting to see Futurama, it'll be seen following football, except on the West Coast, where it'll be seen its entirety. Along with the rest of the lineup. King of the Hill, the Simpsons, Malcolm in the middle, and the X-Files.
Look at this. They got 3 wide receivers out here.
Danny Werfel. Back to throw.
He got the ball. Where's the ball, y'all?
He never saw him behind him, which is hard to see him behind you. They're going to say it's about the foot line, where Harold Hasselback took it away from him.
Watch him here. He's going to come in. Now, Danny Werfel starts to step up. Hasselback comes in from that backside and knows where that ball is, and he's going to strip it and take it right out of there. That's a heck of a pass rush.
Lester Archambault, who wound up with the football.
Archambault was the guy that got beat on that blitz.
When he was back in coverage.
Yeah, when he was back in coverage, and he lined up in the neutral zone. And
nice guy.
Then he comes up with the football. He's a guy that had a 4.2 grade point average on a 4-point scale. Now explain that one to me. Lester Archambault.
Well, you have to go to Stanford to do that.
He's smart.
That's that new math.
Extra credit. Went to summer school, I guess. Taking a look at this one.
they would be reviewing that it's a touchdown, or if his arm is going forward, because remember that tuck rule is anything starts to come forward, that's considered a pass all the way down until they tuck it into their hip.
Yeah, if his arm is going forward, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. No, I didn't think it was.
No, that ball was knocked out of there. Harold Hasselbeck, as he put his arm back there, Hasselbeck hit that arm. And I don't think, and it didn't even look like he tried to go forward after that. So I would think that there was no way that arm was going forward. But when
his
you get
body went forward, but not his arm.
Yeah. As you say, you can even bring it forward, like Matt said, and tuck it. You know, bring it down or back towards your body.
Right.
But I think that ball came out.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that ball came out before it ever started anywhere being forward. Now, if his arm is going forward with a ball in his hand, you see that ball's knocked out before the arm ever starts forward.
Good play by Hasselbeck.
That was a heck of a play.
Right around the corner.
I think Lawrence Taylor started that. You know, that deal about coming around the corner and going for the ball in the strip. And now you see every player, every position do it. You see defensive backs rush and do it. Linebackers, and of course, we just see a defensive lineman do it. Now we're going to look at it while they review this. We'll look at here on the clicker. You'll see it right here. Now, is the arm going forward? No, there's no way that arm's going forward.
No.
I think Werfel has his eyes closed.
Actually, that's the best I've seen Danny Werfel play in this league.
Yeah.
Because I watched him in New Orleans, and he was less than stellar. Nice way to put it.
Yeah, but that Denver defense
After reviewing the
very
play,
good.
the ruling on the field stands. It is a fumble recovery short of the goal line. First and goal, Denver.
And Olandis Gary is still in the game, so you got to figure.
That one surprises me.
Who's going to hammer it in?
That surprises me that he's in there, and I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't send him in there with the ball.
Maybe Shanahan's mad with him or something.
Yeah, but the reason I think they're just going to kneel down. I don't think he's going to take the touchdown here.
I think you're right.
That's right. He's going to. Doesn't need the points. You have the game won. You get by with the injuries. Why have anything else?
Well, let's quickly go down to D.J. Johnson.
All right, I'm here with Terrell Davis. And Terrell, I know it's hard to assess yourself by only playing a couple series, but how do you think you're doing so far?
I think I did pretty good as far as, you know, my overall play and you know, making the right cuts and picking up my blitzes and stuff like that. I think I did okay today. I have to go back and look at the film, but as far as the way I felt great out there.
All right, everybody's talking about Brian Greasy now. How do you think his command of the offense is this year?
It's a lot better than last year. You know, he knows right now he has to take charge of this offense, and we're going to give him all the support that he needs. So right now our offense is clicking. When we get inside the red zone, we need to score more touchdowns, though.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck this year. Back up to you, Pat and John.
Yeah, I think he's right about that. You can't be living on field goals. They did get it into the end zone a couple of times, but too many field goals.
Yeah, and, you know, the thing is, I think both offenses look pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we have to remember Brett Favre didn't play, and, you know, Brett Favre, because he doesn't play and the arm and so on, some people are saying that maybe there's a quarterback. There can't be a quarterback controversy in Green Bay, and in Denver, Brian Greasy is the Denver Bronco quarterback.
All right, John, thank you. Pat Summerall for John Madden and D.J. Johnson saying so long from Denver, where once again the final score is the Broncos 26, the Packers 20. For those of you in the Eastern and Central time zones, sports.com.
Application in a matter of minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just one call from the privacy of your home, and you could have your approval package the very next day. It may also include a check for your new car. Even if you've been turned down before, get the car you need and deserve. Call 1-800-BAR-NONE right now.
Sun, fun, seeing the sights. Americans take over 572 million trips a year. But a word to the wise, cheaper is not always better. Doug Bruckner now with some couples who paid for dream vacations and came back with horror stories. It's an extra buyer beware.
Barbed wire, peeling paint, rust, eating away walls. Sounds like Alcatraz, but it's not. This is a vacation spot.
It was really inexpensive.
Mike Baughman and Mary Hornbaker received a certificate like this in the mail, telling them they had a great one-time opportunity if they called within 24 hours. A 3-night, 4-day vacation in the beautiful Bahamas, and the price at $399 was right.
Welcome to paradise.
This video sent to them promised heaven, but when they got to the island, they found out they'd been duped.
Welcome to the Bahamas.
They took video of their room, which was supposed to have been remodeled, but certainly didn't look it. Dirty, with rickety tables and dressers, water-damaged bathrooms, and take a look at this fridge. And then there was the view of the barbed wire fence, needed given the area they were in.
We met people there that were horrified. We met elderly couples, a couple that was on their honeymoon. They were afraid to go to sleep at night.
NBC consumer correspondent Janice Lieberman has profiled travel scams, and she says what Baughman and Hornbaker went through is common.
The one-time special offer, act now, you've got 48 hours, and that is your tip-off to a rip-off.
There were signs of trouble immediately.
Joanne and Michael Paul were a couple with a different kind of travel disaster. This one, a cruise to Europe.
The price was magnificent. It was $3,000 for a 17-day cruise.
That's about the average price for a normal 10-day cruise, but they were tempted by the promises the brochure made.
Cruising away was meant to be.
That is, if cruising was meant to include
water rationing. So I'd never been on a boat that had water rationing.
And that was just the beginning.
Lots of colds, lots of viruses.
A mysterious sickness enveloped the ship, and it cost $90, cash only, to see the ship doctor. But that pales in comparison to the final insult.
An announcement came over the speaker. We were not going to make any more port stops, and that they were told that they were to go straight to Greece.
The boat company had gone bankrupt and could not afford the port fees at the intended stops. The Pauls, who were supposed to disembark and fly home from a stop in France before Greece, were stuck on the boat.
We felt that we were shanghaied because we were definitely being held against our will.
They eventually made it back home, and their credit card company refunded their money, though Janice Lieberman says that's rare.
If you want to argue with that charge card later on, you're going to have a very tough time because you did get a vacation in exchange for your money.
And that's what happened to Mary Hornbaker and Mike Baughman, who lost their money but learned a valuable lesson.
If it seems too good to be true, then it probably is.
That's terrible. But now we're going to find out how we can make sure this doesn't happen to you. Joining me now is Jim Eisworth with Bottom Line Travel. Welcome, Jim. Thanks for joining us. Jim, when people get scammed, whose fault is it?
It's the customer's fault, the client's fault, because everybody, including myself and yourself, wants something for nothing. And the problem is the scam artists know this, and they take advantage of it.
What are the signs to look for to avoid scams?
The signs to look for is whether or not you can get a hold of somebody if something goes awry.
Jim, what about specific cruise lines? There's so many of them out there. Which ones do you recommend and why?
I would recommend the top 3 would be Carnival, Princess, and Disney. They will go out of their way to provide for their clients because they want them back.
What about travel packages? Is there one that you recommend?
I would recommend Brendan Tours because they have fairly decent prices. They have good hotels, bed and breakfasts.
You know, a lot of people are booking their travel online. What do you think about that?
I have a rather negative viewpoint about that because I've seen too many horror stories. People have booked, people have lost money.
All right, we'll consider ourselves warned. Thank you, Jim Eisworth with Bottom Line Travel.
You're quite welcome. My pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Well, if you're not net savvy, coming up, Kurt Knutson, our cyber guy, has something special in store for you. Kurt?
Dana, coming up, got vacation? I'm going to spend the rest of the hour finding some amazing travel bargains on the web. I'll have them throughout the show, so get your pens ready.
But first, when Extra's Getaway continues, they travel deep into the Mexican countryside to learn the secrets of sex.
Now, ladies, I want you to use the dance of the tongue next.
Then, he has a free first-class ticket to the world's most luxurious resorts. How'd you like to have this guy's job? The glamorous life of a travel photographer. Straight ahead on Extra's Getaway.
It's time for a new way to moisturize. New Nivea Sheer Moisture Spray. A microfine mist of lasting moisturizers that touches you like nothing else ever has. Spray yourself soft. Nivea.
We perform in cabaret. It's hot.
This show is
Cabaret is a hot,
Cabaret is a hot show.
Well, they asked us to try this Degree Invisible Solid. No white marks, nothing. So they're looking at me and my flawless performance. We need this. Degree Invisible Solid. Yes. Oh boy, here we go again.
She'll do anything for an arbor mist.
An arbor mist for that?
Nah. Now that deserves an arbor mist.
New from Arbor Mist, Cranberry Twist White Merlot. Great tasting wine, a splash of fruit. Can't resist the mist. Studies show that kids who participate in the arts are more likely to say they feel good about themselves. So drawing today will shape who they'll become tomorrow. The power of creativity. It starts with Crayola.
Have you ever thought you could own a little piece of heaven on earth? Now you can. Melby Ranch in beautiful Colorado, 20,000 acres of untouched beauty. 35-acre ranches starting at only $1,000 per acre. Owner Will Carey. 4 Mile Lake. Some of the best fishing and hunting in Colorado. 35-acre ranches starting at only $1,000 per acre. Hurry, we are over 70% sold out. For a free brochure and video, call toll-free 1-888-316-LAND.
You need a car to get the most out of life, but banks won't finance you if you have bad credit or no credit at all. Hi, I'm Fran Tarkington. You can get your car financing quickly and easily by calling 1-800-BAR-NONE. Our operators are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In minutes, they'll complete your application, and you can have your approval package the very next day. Just one call from the privacy of your home, and your check could be on its way. Even if you've been turned down before, get the car you need and deserve. Call 1-800-BAR-NONE right now.
Imagine this, a job where you get free travel to the world's most luxurious resorts. Sounds like the best gig in the world, right? Dennis Marsico thinks so. Les Trent explains why he has a picture-perfect job in this weekend's Extra Profile.
A picturesque scene of a couple at the harbor in La Rochelle, France. The Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy. Tourists mesmerized by the Marquesas Islands in the South Pacific. For many, traveling the world sounds like a dream vacation, but for 52-year-old Dennis Marsico, it's just another day at the office.
I think it's a great job.
25 years ago, Dennis ended a career as an electrical engineer and began making money doing what for years was his hobby, photography. Since then, he's traveled the globe, near and far, capturing